Welcome to Star Fleet Universe On Call. I am Paul Franz, owner of Franz Games. I run SLB Online, FedCom Online, and Star Fleet Warlord. Just a reminder how to join us for a talkcast every Thursday night starting at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You either can call on the phone, just dial 605-562-0444. Just follow the directions. The call ID is 17702. Or you can participate on the web. Just go to the TalkShoe website at www.talkshoe.com and search for call ID 17702 or SFU on call or Star Fleet Universe on call. You'll find us all there. And of course, if you want the best experience when it comes to online, I would go to twitch.tv. Yes, twitch.tv/SFU on call. And you'll find us there, and you'll be able to join the chat room and chat with your fellow members, which would be great there. And of course, I'm always keep an eye on the chat room to see if there's any questions that they have that I'd be more than happy to respond to. And also, if you need to contact me for any reason, my email address is sfuoncall@gmail.com. That's sfuoncall@gmail.com. Also, you will follow me on Twitter or X, whatever it is called this week. The podcast account is SFU on call, SFUONCALL. When it comes to my personal account, that's Paul Franz, PAULFRNZ. There is no T in that. And of course, my business account, which is Franz Games, FRANZGEMEN, and of course, there's no T in that. And of course, if you want, this talkcast turns into a podcast available on iTunes and various other feeds around the net. Some quick news from A to B this week. Steve Petrick is still working on that Orion Master Starship book. And also this week, found in the online store is the F&E Tactical Operations Rulebook, which is only $8.95. This is a 26-page rulebook for F&E Tactical Operations. It has more rules for Federation Empire with all the crunchiness that you've come to expect. There are X-Maulers when you absolutely positively need to destroy something. Need leaders? Yeah. Now we have war leaders and war destroyer leaders, sorry. Being raided, block the raiders with the new light gunboat tenders. Stellar Fortresses will protect you from the vulnerable areas, and there are more shipyard functions to provide efficient ways to manage your construction schedule, and there are more flexible command points to aid admirals. And moving onward and forward to the Assembly Online tournament, which is the Sapphire Star 15 tournament. It has started. There's actually one game has been completed. I did not post the tree last weekend, and I'm glad I didn't because of Steve Petrick actually posted the actual tree on Monday and then had to adjust it on Monday, I think. So I'm glad I didn't try to post it last weekend. I should have some time this weekend to actually post the tree. Moving onward and forward to the online client stuff, not much happening there. I might be actually releasing a new release because there is a customer that's having an issue because of the world is going freaking nuts. They're all requiring that everything is HTTPS and nothing can be HTTP anymore. And don't get me started because I understand the reasoning behind it. I truly, truly do. But really? You're trying to protect people, but you're not protecting people. You're just annoying people and making things more difficult. Moving onward and forward, when it comes to Star Fleet Warlord, I've been working on the new website. The main part I've been working on for the past week or so far is having so that you actually create a new account, and then after it creates the account, then it'll redirect you to PayPal to have it so you can register that account. So that portion is for the most part done. I still need to integrate that the back end when you actually pay for it. Then it comes and it registers, it changes the account and all that kind of thing. I've got to do that portion. Also, I'm working on change for pay for turns on the new website, because originally I set up the new website so it just redirected to PayPal and it would get the notifications and so forth. But there's certain back end part that was not being added, and I'm going to be adding that portion, and I'm going to be working on that this weekend. When it comes to the library, there's not much there's no progress there, and I apologize that I probably should have gotten the updated Klingon stuff that I received from Frank, but I need to post that, and I probably should also work on the generals, because I really want to have it so the general ships actually work the way they're supposed to work. I know that sounds worse than I really wanted it to sound, because I'm truly annoyed that that people don't know how things work, and I think I've talked to them about it before, and I know it's the problem is that this kind of functionality was really originally built and done in concert with Aaron Staley. Aaron Staley no longer is working on the project, but he's the only one that truly understood everything, and I've got kind of spoiled. That I got someone who actually knew everything about how the product worked, and the people that currently are working on it don't understand everything about the idiosyncrasies of refits and that kind of thing. So, it takes more. That's part. Which I think it's a reflection on me and not them. And with that is the news for this week. And it's me, Samuel Pelfront, welcoming you to Star Fleet Universe on call. And tonight, it's me, it's Barry. Say hi, Barry.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing good. And Jeff, how you doing, Jeff?
Good evening, everyone.
How are you doing?
Oh, you can hear a little echo there. Sorry, I just had to bring up my Twitch and hope. And at the moment, there's no one in the chat room. Big surprise, because we are starting just a little bit late. We got discussing about certain issues of the day, which are not related to Starfleet Universal Call, not related to ADB, not related to Starfleet battles. So it's like, that goes out the window. So, because I figured we don't need to be recording that stuff, and we got enough issues of the day that having something a little lighter fare is always a good thing. So I will go along with Buster Olney. He is a baseball commentator, which is when the world goes crazy, it's always nice to have something a little bit lighter, to forget our troubles for a little bit, And
speaking of something lighter, did you know that Sapphire Star 15 finally got off the ground?
Yes, it did. Actually, that was. I'm so glad. I looked at the post. Sorry, I looked at the.
Yes, the first fight is even in the can.
Yes, I noticed that. That was actually interesting, because I had planned on making up the tree last weekend, and that would have been a little premature. Now that I found out, it's like, oh, okay. I'm glad I didn't create the tree. And even the original tree that Steve Petrick put up, he had to adjust.
Yes, and I'm glad he did, actually.
Because you're not going to meet up with Peter.
So how many people?
It would have been the third time. It would have been the third tournament in a row. Yeah, yeah. It's like I was starting to wonder: is this being done for a reason? Do I have to beat Peter to actually get different staging in the tournament? Is this the is this the Foxtrot golf or the Foxtrot November golf thing? No.
Understood.
It was like the what little write up there was on the first match. I just scratched my head. Classic Hydran blunder. Plot 31. Use your tractors. Grab your stingers to drag to the other side of the map. Works if you're at speed 30, but not at your 31. And he still went on and won. He self killed his stingers with the double death drag.
Yep. when you said that, yeah. Oh yeah, agreed. As soon as you said that, I went, ouch, oh no. Oh, he killed his own fighters.
The worst part about it is he was facing the Gorn, and the Gorn couldn't capitalize on it. He ended up beating the Gorn even after death dragging his own fighters.
Oh man. Well, it tells you that he would
Wow.
the Gordon would have died really quickly then if he would have had his fighters.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Agreed. Agreed.
How do you manage to do that?
By not paying attention, I guess.
Talk about snatching defeat out of the jaws of victory.
Yeah, yeah. I think what it was is the Gordon. If I, heck, I could pull it up. Let's see here, topics. Where is it? Well, it's in here somewhere. All right, maybe if I hit this other link and slow computer being or slow internet being slow.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, in the
Okay,
meantime.
Yeah, you guys go ahead. We'll circle back around.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to mention one quick thing. This will be a good a minor interlude, which is one thing actually I've been working on this week. Okay, since the Star Fleet Warlord group, well, most of them anyway, are very adverse to changing, sorry, let's back up. Not changing, because I never said change. I said create a new version of the game, which was starting out with something a little bit simpler and so forth. They just had a hissy fit over that. Now, the one thing I'm definitely going to be doing over the next few months when it comes to Star Fleet Warlord is looking at some of the other play-by-email games out there and maybe get some, borrow, steal ideas from the other people, because for the most part, I'm just being honest here. I really feel like for most play-by-email communities, we're not in competition with each other. We're in competition with everything else that's out there. And because most of these play-by-email, they're the asynchronous play and so forth. They're of course from the more experienced generation. I'm not sure how many younger players are in there. Actually, that's one thing I like to email the guy of this newsletter that he sends out multiple times a week. He's been doing multiple times a week, and I hope he slows down just a bit, just for his own sake, because I like that he does it frequently and does it smaller pieces, but I don't want him to be burnt out, because I know you can be so excited about something that you completely burn yourself out and then it dies.
Yeah, that's never fun.
I'm thinking long term when it comes to this. Now,
yeah.
Okay, to get back to what the thought I was kind of bring forward, which was they were completely averse having a new simpler version of the game. One thing I started working on this week, which was because I read an article from this newsletter, which was mentioning how a lot of times that you'll have this. I forgot which play-by-email game this was, but he was talking about how it has a big rule book. It's something like Star Fleet Warlord, because Star Fleet Warlord is around. If you can just include the rules, don't include the addenda, it's like an 80-page rule book on all of the possible orders, what they do, Now, given that, I went, what I should do is create an introduction to Starfleet Warlord, i.e., take here's a brief introduction, Here's how things starts, how it's what you do at the beginning, the game flow. These are the basic orders that you need to know about. Instead of saying, here are all the possible orders that you could possibly give, say, no. You don't need to know about that. You just need to know, here are the orders. The only other thing that I'm thinking about, after I get through the orders, ship movement, ship special special orders that they can give, like prospecting, cloaking, maybe like cloaking, getting possibly. I'm going to skip initially the grabbing of legendary, like navigators, captains, and things like that, because that's one of the things you can do. You can pick them up. That's part of the game. But I'm going to leave that off. But because I want to reduce it down to the basics, where you're starting at, because those things you don't do those for the first in all the gameplay I've done, I've rarely seen that before turn 5. Yeah, it's rarely before game 5. Turn 5 that I actually see those in use. So it's like, okay, so you can go through 5 turns without ever needing to know about that particular order. And then, of course, there's the regular orders like purchasing ships, are important one. Fortifying sites, another one, FS. There is an order called FA, which is fortify all sites, which gets a little complicated. But it's the one that it's rare that people use, because one thing, it might cost them a lot of eeps along the way. And that's another thing, as part of the introduction, I have to discuss the concept of eeps. But the whole idea being of this introduction to Star Fleet Warlord is that a person can can download or look at a website. I'm thinking about having a PDF or possibly a PDF and a HTML page. Depends upon how many pages it would be. And actually have a short introduction that they can, here's an introduction, you can actually read it. As you read through it, you can play, and then as you have time, here's the full rule book that has all the orders, all the background material, all the things you need to know about the different orders and so forth. But you don't need to read the whole rule book just to start playing. Here's the introduction. You use this, and then you can start playing immediately after reading. I'm hoping somewhere between 3 and 5 pages. I'm hoping closer to 3 than 5. And I know this is kind of effort. It's going to take me weeks to get through, because my only experience with this is doing this kind of work for my job, where not that I was trying. The idea is writing up, in this case for my job, it was actually writing up documentation of this is what we're going to be doing, and then having to read through that, not just once, not just twice, but like 5 to 10 times, reading through it, trying to picture and think from the perspective of another, of, okay, if I didn't know everything that I know about everything, about the whole process, how I got this all in my brain, does this make sense? Is there a better way of describing this that would make it clearer and maybe less wording or different wording that makes it crystal clear? And I know that's why the introduction will take me weeks, if not possibly months, to write up.
Yeah. That almost sounds like what you need to do is get 3 people sit together around the computer where you can run the back end and basically run it hot seat fashion, and everybody record their thoughts and feelings and play it like an open hand to bridge for training purposes. So you can turn around and take all of that and figure out where you need to focus your introduction at.
That's possible. Yeah, that's where actually what you're talking about also kind of sound. I know it's not exactly the same, but it reminds me of what I want to do by getting myself familiar with some of the other play by email games
Right.
and how they do things. Because actually, there was this one which the editor writer of this little newsletter does. He plays, and he points to me and says, "Okay, well, let's check this thing out," and which was that the report that just like my game has a report for what happened in the turn. They have the same kind of thing, but mine's PDF. His is HTML. And I went, this is weird. And I do mean that, but in all honesty, I think that's very weird. If you want to have it so it's just available on the website, that's a great idea. But in this case, you click it and it downloads an HTML page. And to me, that's just kind of weird. That they didn't convert it from HTML to PDF, which I'd have to double check. I think it could be done.
Yeah, there's several ways to tackle that. What you're getting into and why you're seeing it in the first place is that when you have a niche hobby, you end up with niche solutions more often than not.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh yeah, as it is if you want to go back in time, when it comes to Star Fleet Warlord, Star Fleet Warlord was originally printed out. Now, when I took over from Bruce Grawl, the first thing I had to do was take his printouts and make it so that it actually got converted into a PDF file. I sliced and diced the sections into 3 different PDF files. Because originally it was one, and then you print it out, and then there it is, you send that out. And it has all the escape codes for, I forget what printer it was that he was using. And also he had PostScript. Actually, no, the PostScript was for an HP like laser printer. And the only reason I know that is because I used to write drivers for an HP LaserJet printer, and I recognize some of the escape codes. And it converts, and that's ones that actually support PostScript, which is cool. PostScript is cool.
Well, granted, they brought the technology back from the moon with Apollo, but right, it's cool. That's the digital equivalent of it came over on the Mayflower.
Yep. So and I slice and dice it just because of depending upon, like in the case of say for Starfleet Warlord, when it comes to if they have there's a point in the game where the number of sites you have is so large that basically instead of printing out portrait mode, it prints out landscape mode. And that's why I have to slice and dice in that case. Because for that portion of it, it has to be landscape mode.
Ugh.
Because otherwise it basically the lines are so long that it just wraps and looks awful. So
Yeah.
And then actually I fixed it so now actually I can print out the maps that are part of the reports, which are cool. Though people don't like those maps anymore because I allowed them to cheat. Because the original maps, there were some
I'm gonna need to go to bed.
Okay.
It's getting late here.
Okay. Well, you get a good night's rest. See you, Barry.
Good night, Barry.
So, anyhow, I started generating, actually,
Almost sounds like it was originally
Ju-
designed to print out on 13-inch wide green bar.
No, it was 8.5 by 11. It's just that those landscape mode ones, they print out
Yeah.
they print out landscape because that was one of the scapegoats, which is
Well, right.
print this page in landscape mode.
I used to work with oh gosh, it was a printer the size of a stand-up freezer called a Genicom. I think it was a Genicom 160,
Jenny, come
and
no.
you'd put a whole case of
Oh, whoa,
tractor feed paper.
whoa. Jeff, are you Jennycom or GenCon? Gemcom.
I've slept since then, so
Okay.
I'm not sure, but it was this ginormous printer. It was on casters. It took
Mm-hmm.
240 volts. You put one case of paper in the bottom and you fed it into one setup, and then you pushed the tray in and you put another case of paper on the bottom, and it set it up so that when the first one ran out, and the second one would pick up right away, and the thing could spit out almost 60 pages, almost on its fastest mode. It could almost do an entire page in a minute. And it was a dot matrix. It was louder than heck.
Oh,
The thing
okay.
was huge.
Yeah. Oh, I remember the old dot matrix printers. I actually had one back in the day when I was in college. Back image writers, the old Apple image writers. Actually, I convinced my parents to actually buy me a printer.
Well,
So-
this one was one that they used for printing out invoices and on cardstock, so that they could tuck the invoices in windowed letters and whatnot. And they were doing 12 and 14,000 of these a shift on this one printer. It was crazy how fast that thing would kick them out. Now, mind you, it wasn't printing a character in every single spot it could print one.
Right,
But
right.
at the same time, it was the thing was just a massive thing, and it was what made me think that maybe the whatever technology base that they grabbed onto for their printing routines was originally designed to spit it out on one mode is designed to spit it out on the ultra wide green bar you used to see in computer labs.
Yeah, I remember those because I went to college in the 80s. So, yeah, mid 80s. I started going to college in 84, and I graduated in 89 because I went to Drexel University, which has a co-op program, so it's a 5-year program with interruptions to go do 6-month co-ops, which was interesting. Okay, so the funny part with that is that the first co-op I did, it was down in DPSC down in South Philly, and actually I had fortunately I had a friend who actually has a grandma that let me stay with him and his grandmother up in North Philly. So I take the bus from his house to the subway station, and from the subway station I take it into Center City. Then I take the bus from Center City down to South Philly. So
That sounded like that worked out really good for you.
oh yeah, oh man, bus lines on 57 was one of them. That was the one I think that went from Center City down to South Philly. So I'm pretty sure I got that number right. Yeah, that was interesting. And then the one after that, actually the other two I went to, actually, I had the fortunate thing that my father had friends who had retired from the government and were now hired as into a private company. They actually worked for Battelle. You know who Battelle is? They actually are the ones who actually invented the technology for the Xerox machine.
Oh, okay, right.
And Battelle is a very big maker of defensive products, armor piercing missiles, things like that. Reactive armor.
Things that you don't find in Walmart.
Definitely don't find them in Walmart. But yeah, in fact, I even went out to Columbus, Ohio, which is where they're located at. That's where the headquarters is located at, which is interesting because of Jeff. Did you ever go to Origins?
No, I never made it to Orange.
Okay, because first year I went to Origins, I saw Patel Room, and I went, I know that. I know that corporation because I went out there and actually met my boss basically, which was cool. And actually, it was the most interesting to me of working for those guys. I did a lot of actual basic. I wrote a lot of things in basic, and the whole idea was that I created a program which allowed them to enter in the data for setting up reactive armor tests. Actually not reactive armor. It was actually shaped charges, is what it was. The guys that was my father was friends. His friends. They worked for Patel, and they got me a co-op job working for them, which was great. With so we did the shape charges and all, which was interesting. I got that for 2 years. Of course, the funny part was that, of course, after that, Drexel went, can you use another co-op? And they shut them down after I left.
Whoops.
No, that was because they were doing it as a favor for my father.
I see.
But the great thing, I got to fly out to Columbus, which was nice. I got to meet guys. There's actually an interesting part was that at one point I actually had to get secret clearance because I had to look at source code that required secret clearance, which was interesting because of there was a room at the office, which was it basically is where they kept the fax machine. Like, no, did they keep the fax machine there? No, they basically had no electronics in there whatsoever. So that I could
Sounds like a skiff to me.
Yeah, yep. Well, that's the whole idea. So I could look at the source code without having to worry about anyone else being around me because the whole idea of a need to know kind of basis. It wasn't top secret; it was just secret. But still, you don't want people who are not supposed to look at that source code. Look at that source code, which is that's the first time ever I've ever experienced having to look at computer code. In the case this was written in Fortran, that was secret. I went, okay. Actually, I looked through it all and I went, okay, this is interesting, and I see how it's doing things. Okay, that's fine. Because that was one thing I needed to do. The reason why I had to look at the source code was because of this was a Fortran program that actually would generate the file. It would actually would generate. No, it would read the file that I needed to then to go through the generator, because this was actually the program that actually would do the shape charge and so forth. Actually, we even had what was that one product? Damn.
I don't think it matters at this point.
Oh, that doesn't matter. Well, it wasn't a top secret. It wasn't a top secret product, but it was. I'm thinking. It's finite analysis, something like that. The whole idea is that you had each block has different stress levels and so forth, so that what they could do is they could simulate a shape charge and see what would it look like, how much velocity would it actually create by whatever, however you formed the shape charge. Because the whole idea of a shape charge is, which is
do more with less,
is basically you take a cone, which is,
right,
and you have around the cone filled up with gunpowder, and you deform the cone so it shoots out a high velocity jet of that cone.
Sometimes they use copper if they want to cut through whatever the cladding is on the outside of the target. But yes, that's basically what you do with
it. And that's what the idea was, hit that, and then you hit the reactive armor. The idea of reactive armor was to disrupt that jet of material.
Or an HE round.
Yep.
anyhow, to circle back to Sapphire Star,
Sorry. Yes.
this is an interesting write up. Uh, Now the Seth Kingzilla uses
Hmm.
PPT repeatedly. I don't think he's talking about a pseudo plasma torpedo. I think he's talking about an enveloping plasma torpedo.
That's
It should be
EPT.
an right. So I'm working off the typos as listed. But turn one, the Gorn launched a PPT, and the Hydran ran off with fighters in tow. At 18 moves on the plasma, Hydran took 9 damage, which means it wasn't a pseudo.
Right. Right. So it's
Turn two,
EPT. Yes.
yeah, it must have been an EPT.
Right.
Turn two, the Hydran chased the Gorn down. Speed changed to 31 with fighters in tow. Go! Next
Oh.
impulse, Hydran realized what he did and killed the fighters, while the Gorn had an F torp targeted on one of the fighters.
Oh, jeez.
Later in the turn, at range 3, Gorn bolts an S and an F, fires 3 phaser ones, and ends up doing 7 internals, which means that the Hydran must have been bricked up, because it says here both bolts hit, taking out a phaser 1 and a Hellbore. Next impulse, that would be range 3, 2, 3, or 4, depending on which way they were moving. The Hydran fires 4 phaser 1s, the GAT, and the standard Hellbore, doing 17 internals and taking out an F-torp, a phaser 3, and 3 power. 2 impulse later, the Hydran landed 1 suicide shuttle down the down shield, cracking the ship's hull, with the total power down to 28 and a few more phasers. Next few turns, the Hydran chased the Gorn to the other side of the map. The Gorn launched a G PPT, and the Hydran ran off. Turn 5, the Hydran ran the Gorn down to the other side of the map. Turn 6, Hydran got onto the Gorn's weak. Number 4, standard Hellbore, 2 fusions, 5 phaser 3s, and 4 phaser 1s at range 1.
Wow.
Yeah, the Hydran kept fighting, and it's just amazing that even after the pulling a dummy all the way back in turn 2, that it didn't mark the end of the game. I mean, I have been to tournament fights where somebody did that and immediately conceded because they couldn't believe they'd been that stupid.
Oh, agreed. Oops. Katie, don't. Yeah, be careful about that. Okay. Oh, he got the cable wrapped around his foot.
Right.
Hey, Katie, if you want to go behind me, that's fine, but not in front of me at the moment. Okay. Zooks, what is it? Goofball. But yeah, oh yeah, agreed there. Okay. Doug
Yeah.
just replied saying, "Oh, the ringer did not sound," and it's like,
Oh no.
"Yep, yeah." And so a little late for him to join, because we're only be going on for like another 15 minutes or so. So to me, it's kind of silly to try to call him in and all that kind of thing. It's going to take us 5 minutes probably just to do that. So there's no reason.
Oh well, sorry, Doug.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Hopefully he'll go to bed early and rest up and have more healing of his hip and so forth. Because Lord knows that's
Yeah, he needs a couple of, I was going to say breaks to go his way, but I think that's the wrong word to use here. I think he needs a little more luck to go his way.
yes, I agree there. Which actually reminds me, I have to send him money. Well, I did something nice for him, and he needs to do this himself, which was I usually have my phone, as strange as this might sound, set up to use PayPal as a register, so people can give me their credit card. I can enter in their into my phone, and boom, you've paid. Okay, fine, great. And actually, I did that.
I need to send you some money too.
Yes, you do. Well,
About
I'm sorry. I'll cut you off at the knees, or you don't. You know that's just the way things work.
The email said I still had a month. Come on, man.
Oh, that reminds me.
Thought you played Andromedans, not Orions.
Yep. I need to talk to one person, and I know what the problem is, and I just feel like the only way I'm gonna solve it for him is releasing a new version of the client, which always, of course, takes a bit of time. Crap.
What's the issue?
He currently is showing up as a demo account, even though he's paid. And I know exactly what the issue is. It is, and now the funny part is that I'm assuming from what he's mentioned in the email, he mentioned that his IT department said they don't use that product. But at the same time, I look at in the logs, because since I had experience over this in the past, I went, okay, I'm actually gonna save into the log file what I'm getting back from the website, and I did, and it's referencing in that what it grabbed from the website. It said, oh, Bitdefender, but is blocking this because it think it's phishing. And that's because I'm using an HTTP connection to SFU
I'm
Online.
holding the bridge of my nose in the Picard fashion, because we just had a similar discussion on the BBS about why we need to see about getting even a self-signed certificate for the main site.
I know the problem, and here's the thing. Actually, going to that just for a moment, I actually thought about, okay, in theory, it could be fixed, but it requires you to be smart about this. And the problem with it is that the way that like Gene and Mike and so forth, and they look and they are able to block IP addresses, they won't be able to do this anymore. Possibly. Because what they need to do, because the problem is the discussion board is so old, it doesn't support HTTPS. Which means, in theory, we can get it so it actually does support HTTPS. But it's a hack solution. And they have to be running it, because if they don't run it, then basically they're opening themselves up onto all those spammers, which is,
right.
It's got to take the web pages that are being delivered, and anything that is marked as HTTP, it's got to go change it dynamically to be HTTPS.
I was under the impression that there was a couple of server-side apps that you could run below the user level that would act as a secure tunnel for HTTP between the two of them. And it was something that came about from 10 years ago, when everybody basically said that all business is going to be conducted on secure servers. And people started having to buy security certificates even for their hobby web pages if they didn't want to be blocked by all the services that want to block them.
Yeah, I think you're thinking about Let's Encrypt, which gives free certificates.
Yeah.
Because the other one, because as I said, it's basically you just need to have a dynamic proxy, something that's like Cloudflare in theory should be able to do. But as I said, at that point with Cloudflare or any other service that actually is in front of the bulletin board system, they lose the ability to actually know what the IP address of the actual sender is. To me, that I think that's the big problem. Because I'm willing to bet you I could create my own dynamic proxy to support exactly that for the discussion board. But the problem is that the IP address that they currently like to block would not be able to be blocked, and therefore they'd be inundated with spam. Those things they currently block, they couldn't do anymore. Now, the problem is that with that discussion board, the big problem is, in my mind, is that they're starting running into Google is the problem. Google is changing their browsers so that it really doesn't like non-HTTPS websites at all.
No, no, they want everybody on an encrypted website. And the thing is that I understand the way it used to work. And it's been ages since I've done any kind of web administration. But the crazy part about it is that most of the noted bad actors out there anyway are already using DNS spoofing
Mm-hmm.
to try to block IP addresses. So I don't know that's as much a shield as people might think it is.
Right. Well, no,
because the first thing that stalkers figure out is how to cover their tracks so they can continue to harass whoever their target is.
right. Something simple as like a VPN would do the job.
Right.
Bad actors also will use proxies, so they'll take over, let's say, somebody's router.
Yep.
And make it as a proxy for whoever they're going to attack. Or they might attack directly from a bunch of these low piece of crap routers that are on the net on the internet. You know,
2/3 of which are provided by whoever you're subscribing to for your internet service, because half the time the equipment they provide to you is junk anyway. Why I always tell the techs, just set it up as a straight access point, turn the Wi-Fi off, turn everything off. I've got a router behind you to handle all of that.
yeah, basically, put it in bridge mode and
Yeah.
you're golden. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, to me, I've got it so that I own my own cable modem. I own my own router. Actually, I have multiple routers. I have like 3 routers in this house. The only reason I have 3 of them is because it's a very small house. It's a 1,400 square foot house, so it's pretty small. But the one actually I use because of it's good for IoT devices because it's 2.4 gigahertz. I don't have to worry about, because most IoT devices don't like 5 gigahertz.
Right.
Yeah, which I only have one IoT device at all, and that's an iRobot. I have nothing else because I barely trust the iRobot.
Yeah, I understand what you mean there. For me, I've got an open WRT router, which I actually taped to the top of my old Apple Airport Extreme, which I'm
Wow.
using. So that's how I've got my setup. And of course, we've got hockey pucks in the house. Excuse me, that's the Amazon branded digital assistant speaker.
The Echoes.
Because the original ones looked like a hockey puck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The old Echoes. That's the one thing that I gotta love it when people say, you know the name, and I don't want to say it out just in case someone's listening.
Well, I didn't.
And they always call them by the product, the actual, what the person's not quote unquote name is, for the audio assistant, instead of, okay, why don't you just call it by the product's name? The product's name is an Echo.
Mm-hmm. Even for the ones that have a screen.
Yep, they're called. It's an Echo, is what it is. And if you just say the product name, I don't think you'll have the same issue versus calling it by the A word.
Well, that's just anthropomorphizing one's the tools in one's toolbox, as it were.
Man. Let's not go down that road because, the thing is, Leo Laporte.
What, you never named your car Christine?
Are you crazy? No. Now my parents, we had two station wagons. I mean, this is old. Like, it was a 1966 station wagon and a 1970 station wagon, and it was Lucy and Betsy were the 2 names of the cars. We never named the cars after that. I don't know why. But that's what we named our cars. It was Lucy and Betsy. Lucy was kind of a turquoise car, station wagon. I mean, this is old station wagon. Where the back of the car was actually kind of metal. There wasn't any padding or anything like that. You know, it was. And then of course we had Betsy, which was the newer one, which is a light blue car. Loved it. But Leopold has an opinion, and I disagree with the opinion, but I understand his perspective. He has the opinion that you should never ever think of those assistants. You know, don't treat them with nice. Don't say thank you or whatever, and don't treat you can call them all kinds of names and so forth. And that's fine. And I disagree. Because it's like the whole idea of people's pets in my mind. It's just one thing removed from that. Because what's the one thing that you look at if you're looking for a serial murderer? How do they treat their pets?
Yeah. Well, it's just like other things in life. When I'm driving along and somebody lets me in traffic, I say thank you, even if I know they can't hear me, because it's what I choose to put in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you surround yourself with positive things and you'll see the positive in the world. You surround yourself with the search for hate and negativity and you'll find it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. It's one of those things. If you act like a total jackanape towards your digital assistants, the people who hear you do that will think you'll treat anybody that way, and it won't do you any favors.
Exactly. Because it's one. I understand that his perspective is that you got to make sure you remember that these are machines. Yes, I understand that, but it's like your pets are your pets. And it's one thing I always remember. Because of many years ago, I had a sick cat, had cancer, and the veterinarian told me, look, you can spend I think it was $5,000 for the surgery to remove the piece of cancer from her body. Another $5,000 for just chemo. Now, after that, she's got a 50% chance that she'll live. At that point, I said, this is going to cost me $10,000. It's a cat. It's not a child. It's a cat. At that point, we said, no, we'll put her to sleep.
Make her comfortable.
Make her comfortable.
Make sure she enjoys her final days in as much love and comfort as you can arrange.
Right. Exactly. And that's the point where it's a cat. It's not a child. And the problem is, some people, they take that part that it's a pet, not a child, they take it too far, and their pets become their children, and they treat them like children. In that they'll spend so much money, they'll go into lots of debt just for a pet. Because that's one thing we were having problems with our one cat, and she was slowly, we got her mess, we got so forth. We spent over $1,000 that for emergency medical care and things like that. And after a week, it wasn't helping at all. She still wasn't eating and so forth. And so at that point we went, that was weird. But anyhow, somehow I got muted. I don't know who muted me. Hey, Guest Dave. That's okay. That's weird too. Guest Dave now shows up. Now he's gone. Actually, I'm not sure if he's gone. He just no longer shows up as one of the participants. Just weird. And I lost Jeff. Okay, things are going goofy. I'm just gonna wait for just a moment so I can see if Jeff will come back. I'm not sure. Hey, for all I know, that might have been me. So I'm gonna give him one more minute, and then I will finish off the story. Yep, he's back, and I'm wondering if it was me. It's either that or TalkShoe had a glitch.
Net quite, because it took me a little while to even get it to reload.
Mm-hmm. So did you have problems with TalkShoe website?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was them and not me.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Because it muted me too, and I'm the host.
My goodness. That's no good. That's how rude.
Yeah, but anyway, so after we spent like $1,000 or so, I think it was up to $1,500 on our cat, and she was not getting any better. We went, okay, the next level is basically taking her down to a specialist to have her checked out, and it's like, okay, no. What we're gonna do, we're gonna put her to rest because she's slowly dying anyway. She's not eating.
Yeah. Even if the surgery and the chemo works, how much time is that going to grant you? It's at a certain point, it really is a mercy to plan a better exit.
Oh, great. And this other cat, it doesn't have cancer, but she had possibly a heart condition or something like that. Because the big issue...
Same thing applies.
Oh, yeah, agreed. The same thing definitely applies. I just want to make sure it was clear to people about... I had two different cats where I had to put them both down because of medical issues.
Yeah.
But in the case of her, the second one, she was slowly wasting away because she was not eating, and we could not figure out for the life of us why she was not eating. We gave her... She got the medicine, got actually an injection, which was supposed to help settle her stomach, which I thought might be the issue why she wasn't eating, because her stomach didn't feel good. But no, I didn't even see her drinking any water for a few days. I was like, this is not good. Because I know, humans, we can't live without water for more than 3 days at a time.
It's different for cats because generally speaking, they get the preponderance of their moisture from their food.
Yeah, but she wasn't eating food either.
Yeah. So when they stop eating and they're not drinking, then there's a problem.
Right, exactly. So that's when we put her down. Now, I'll admit, and this hurts me, that I did something stupid. I didn't think I could take watching my cat just fade away. So I decided not to stay in the room. And to this day, I regret that decision. Instead of being with her when she basically slowly died, I did not do that. I feel really bad for not doing that. And Lord knows that will never, ever, ever happen again.
We never know exactly how we will rise to a challenge like that until we're faced with it.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to second guess somebody else's responses to these things.
And you know what the weird part is? This was my cat, and I couldn't do it. I could be there when my mother died, but not my cat.
It is weird how we build bulwarks in our in our psyche for these things.
Yep. Yeah, because I was there from when my mother died. I was not there when my father died. They both died in the hospital. Actually, in the case of my mother, they took her, I think, yeah, they took her off the respirator.
When my father died of cancer many years ago, he was home hospice. I'd
Mm-hmm.
been there that morning, and I had just gone home to go to bed because I was working graveyard at the time, and I missed the
Passing?
last words
Mm-hmm.
by about 3 hours. It was odd. He had a really good day, like a lot of these things.
Mm-hmm.
There's the final rally, is what it's sometimes referred to.
Mm-hmm.
He was watching an episode of Matlock with everybody around. He was talking all about it, and they heard the verdict and the climax of the episode, and the credits started rolling. And between then and somebody asking something a few minutes later, it was quiet and very peaceful.
Wow. Yeah, that was the one strange thing for my father, which was, okay, he was in the hospital. He was not. Oh, I was not too. We were not too thrilled with the hospital because they couldn't get it right. First they said he was.
Oh God!
First he said he was already dead, and then he went, "Oh no, he's not dead yet." It's like, people,
This is not a Monty Python sketch.
No, you
Oh my
can't
God!
be right. You can't be doing this. You can't be doing this. You can't play with people's hearts like this. This is not something you can do that with. You know, saying that, oh, they have this or they have that. Yeah, that you can screw up and people will forgive you. But when you say that they died and they're not dead, that's a little different. But anyway, you know, because I had driven down real quick, and my father was holding on, and we called my sister. It's like, Dad's dying. You gotta get out here as soon as possible. Jumped on a plane, got out there the next day, picked her up. After she visited him, a few hours later, then he passed, and we all feel like he basically held on until, you know, Ellen, my sister, could actually come because everyone else had already been there. You know, my brothers and my mother. Yeah,
that's not uncommon. That's why a lot of natural causes deaths happen in the first week or two of January. You've gotten through the holidays, all the family's gone home. You don't have anything to look forward to. It's just one of those times where it's low ebb in life, and people just let go.
Mm-hmm. Understood. Well, I
Seems
think
to be a rather deep end of the topic pool we ended up in this evening.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Okay, I think we'll end with that. Okay. Well,
Kind of a hard act to follow there, Paul.
Yeah, I know. Oh, okay. Well, and of course that's mostly my own fault because I brought it up and we went down that road. Could have been worse. Could have been other things. So I'm you know, that's might have been a sad way of ending it, having us thinking about our own mortality.
Yeah.
That this life is short and we need to enjoy it with the loved ones that we care so much about.
Absolutely. Nobody looks at the ending of the final act and go, I wish I spent more time at work.
Amen.
And on that note, I'll call it a good night.
Okay, good night. So, okay. Well, obviously not exactly happy mood to end the podcast on, but remember this. Star Fleet Warlord, I'm working on it. It's going better. Of course, we have Sapphire Star Tournament. It's going. So you want to enjoy watching some good games? Well, of course, you can get on SFU Online. You don't even have to pay for it to watch the games. You can just create a I call it a demo account. You register for an account, and then you can go just log into the service and you can use it and you can watch the games. So have something enjoyable to do. Obviously, one thing I would recommend you doing is actually going. Hopefully, you have a browser that will allow you to go to HTTPS sites. So you can go to the discussion board, because a lot of times that's where people actually set up the times. They'll announce it there when they'll actually be playing the games. In which case, then you can actually schedule your time around watching a game, or possibly if you want to just stop by and see if there's anyone there, because sometimes there are, sometimes there isn't. I'll be honest, it's a small community. But, obviously if there are people around, people are more than willing to chat and talk about their favorite game. So with that, I am Paul Franz, and I bid you a good night. I thought I